Welcome to the Align Life podcast by yours truly, Dr. Tiffany. How about we get out that magnifying glass and look at every part of your life? The awesome, the suck, and everything in between. There's so much beauty in you. Stop being afraid of what isn't good enough and let's double down on what is together. It's about your truth in your life, aligned.
Hello, friends. Thanks for joining me. So today we're going to talk about what happens when you're not for everyone. Like what happens if someone doesn't really care for you or like you, and they may even tell you that. How do we deal with that feedback and not roll over and not diminish who you are because of someone else's opinion? I think this is one of the most important things in being out there, like speaking your truth, being your truth, following your purpose, and making an impact, is that there's going to be a lot of opinions about you. And the more you're out there, the more you're seen, the more people don't like you, or they have thoughts and assumptions of who you are that isn't even right. But instead of us focusing on our truth, we listen to them. So as a recovering people pleaser, which some people may say, yeah, right, you're not a people pleaser. I am totally a people pleaser. And I think the majority of people to some degree are. But I spent many, many years, especially my first 20 to 25 years, doing things that did not align with me, my values, or my morals, so that I could be liked, so that I could be in the popular group, so that somebody would notice me, that they might like me. And I imagine so many people's stories are similar. But what happens in the story is that it becomes painful. And the more we look back into the past, the more painful it is. And the more painful it is, the more we just keep shoving it down, right? We shove it under that proverbial rug. And all of a sudden, all of these things are under there. And the longer that you hide them, the more they want to come out. And so somebody had asked me last year, I think, how do you not care about what people think? And I kind of, did that like sarcastic giggle, like, are you serious? You got to train your mind to understand what people mean when what they say may hurt you. And that hurting you has nothing to do with their words. It has to do with how you're perceiving it. So we're going to talk a bit about a story that I have recently went through. And just like everyone else, I'm human. It took a bit of time to process through what someone's opinion of me meant. And when if you choose not to break this down, if you actually choose to shove it under the rug, you'll never get better at it. And the more you're seen, the worse it'll feel. And frankly, you won't allow yourself to be seen because you feel like you're hiding so many things and secrets and people don't understand me and, all the things. So if you've heard me talk in the past, one of the main things I talk about is what is hiding cannot be healed. What's in the dark needs to have a light. And when we shine the light on it, that just means that we're not holding on to it anymore and that it can actually move through and be healed. This story, it was about 3 months ago, and somebody that I was indirectly working with, and we were doing a ton of work on my side gig, the Align Life. And it was not only the vision, but it was the strategy and the implementation, which is the number one part of where things went a little bit wonky. I believe that we need to work within our genius. And what I realized in that relationship was that there were too many things for one genius. And this is the key. When somebody gives you feedback, it doesn't mean that it's supposed to be taken as failure. Feedback is learning. And so take feedback without taking it personal and move it through the processes that don't require emotion. Now, sometimes it takes a bit to settle away from emotion, but in order to bring the light to it, we need to see it objectively. We need to bring it up, be able to identify what the problem is, see it objectively, and now work through the steps. So the thing that hit my heart hard was, I have a personality conflict with you. Okay, well, that's super interesting. A personality conflict. So once I worked through these things for the next 2 weeks, and by the way, anybody who gives you feedback is to be thanked. I am extremely grateful for this conversation because I was able to go through and really identify what could, number one, be perceived as a personality conflict, and then my tendencies when I am imbalanced. When I am imbalanced, when I lose trust in something, a process, I go into control freak mode, OCD. It's never good enough, right? Because I don't trust that what they're saying is true, or when they're going to get something done is true, or how they feel. If I ask a question, I don't believe that they answered it with honesty. There's so many things that happen when I come from this imbalanced personality, when I feel like I'm losing trust in somebody. And that was one of the defining moments of, like, in all relationships, this is what happens when I lose trust or don't believe somebody is saying, doing, thinking what is actually in them. And then I started realizing, well, what has nothing to do with me needing to know any of that. That's like that line between holding space or that codependency and just seeing it as it is. After I was thankful that someone said this, I didn't believe it was true. It was her truth. It wasn't my truth. And that is where the pivotal moment happened. I defined where I went wrong, how it could have been perceived, right? So what the problem was. Then I got to define my truth. So I went through and basically defined what was true and what wasn't true between what she stated and what I know to be true. Because everybody has their own opinions and assumptions based on their values and their beliefs and their thoughts and their habits and their personality. That's not necessarily anything to do with yours. But in this world of intertwining and building relationships, we naturally are accustomed to other people's opinions and assumptions based on their experience, not yours. And this is where the gift was, because I realized that I wasn't being fully me. I had noticed these little nudges for a while, and I thought, it's okay. We're just going to keep on. Of course, here, the imbalanced Tiff is like push, 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 instead of step back. And even if the decision is difficult, I'll figure it out. So being one of my right-hand people that was helping me create. And when I began this project, it is, as any business is, it was a project of the heart, totally expansive and personal growth. And I was able to do that with this person. And so when the disconnect happened and now we have a personality conflict, I felt totally taken aback. There's other words I could use on that in terms of how I felt in the beginning. But once I defined my truth, I realized this was totally the right decision. And no, it wasn't a personality conflict. It was a values and morals conflict. And that's going to happen in so many areas of your life. And the more you're seeing The more people you work with, the more people you talk to, the more people you build relationships with, there's going to be conflict and confrontation. And if you have values and morals that are aligned, you will always make it work. But when the values and morals aren't aligned, it becomes something else, like AKA a personality conflict, because you can work with different personalities. When values and morals are different and become more apparent as you get closer to somebody, that is when it won't work. My advice in so much of this is accept information to come in as feedback and not failure. Someone's opinions and assumptions of you actually are not really any of their business in terms of how you handle it in regards to your truth. It is their business because they can have an opinion about whatever they want. That doesn't mean you need to participate with that person in life. And second, the very thing they can't handle may be your genius. Let me say that again. The very thing they can't handle will likely or will be your genius. So let's go back in time. You've listened to multiple people's opinions about you. They become your truth. They become your programmed mind, your patterned mind. And all of a sudden, 95% of our brain is pre-programmed and pre-patterned from past experiences. Now, all of a sudden, these are your truth because you only have 5% of conscious brain to change it. So if all of these thoughts, opinions, beliefs have been predetermined that are true, that's how you're living your life. So when you can become more present in a conversation, in an experience, in overall life, identify the problem, bring it to light, shine that flashlight on that sucker, define your truth, and then destroy the rest. Destroy it so it doesn't become part of your program. And if along the course of your life, you haven't realized that this could be part of your genius, you're struggling to figure out what your genius is because it's been in front of you. It's been there, but you've been ashamed of it. You haven't been able to see the gift in the challenge. And we're always given an equal amount of support and challenge, you guys. When challenge comes up, so many times the lack mindset will say, negative things happen in threes, or whatever thing you're like, oh, here we go. We're going to go down this hill again. What if it didn't have to be like that? What if you did see that every challenge had an equal level of support? So that when you're going through this difficult conversation, difficult situation, this feeling, you know that on the other side of that feeling is support and love and possibilities and opportunities. How would your challenges look different? Because in this situation, if I would have seen this as challenge and there was enough internal challenge that I needed to go through, if I would have just seen that as challenge, I would have never risen up. I knew that there were so many lessons in this. I knew it. And as uncomfortable as things are, as personal as we take them, when we can step back objectively and not be emotional and move through these steps of truth, that's where your genius lies. So I ask you, in the conflict and challenge of relationships and situations in your life, I ask you to bring them to the light and start creating your own truth around them. Because there is always going to be genius in every challenge. And what I realized in this was Once I let go of my gripping hands on the container, on the dock, on the bridge, whatever you think of that visual of like, oh, I'm just holding on for dear life. I don't know. My fingers are cramping. I don't know if I can hold on anymore. And that person just goes and lifts your fingers up so you fall in. That's when you can surrender and say, whoa, look at this process. How did I get here? And now I'm free. Now I can clean the slate, shake the Etch-a-Sketch, however you want to think about that, and actually start new. Break the old programs, break the old patterns, break the codependency tendencies, learn from it, and start anew with that genius, with those things that you learned in this process. And without reflection and identification of what went wrong and what role you had for yourself, you won't find the truth, because this process is not about judging or blaming that person that gave you the lesson, that gave you the gift. This process is uncovering what's holding you back. It's identifying, man, how was I showing up? And I frequently talk about personalities in the imbalanced and balanced state. In our personality and your personality, there is the balanced state of you and there's imbalanced state of you. The more you can identify, be aware, and reflect when you're balanced and when you're imbalanced, you'll start to see trends. You'll start to see triggers. You'll start to see situations in a non-emotional way, in an objective way, to be like, whoa, that wasn't even me at that dinner party last weekend. I was acting weird. I was standoffish. I was shy. That's when then you go back, look through all of the evidence to see what triggered you to move into an imbalanced state. That may mean that situation was not one that you want to be in again. Contrary, that may mean you need to get better at some skills so that you don't feel uncomfortable, so that when you're seen, you don't hide. I started this in talking about you may not be for everyone, and a little bit more clear, you're not for everyone, but be your best so that you can be for your people. And when you step up and you become different, you attract different. In this example, once I let go of all the things I was uncomfortable with, I realized I shake that Etch-a-Sketch and I'm like, whoa, okay, what do I need to do? Who do I need to help? And in that process, we've hired 4 different people because I was able to see that the past situation didn't work with her being all these roles that I needed filled. They needed to be filled by different people. And I needed support. I didn't need someone to say, oh, I'm not sure if this is right. I'm not sure if I can. I couldn't have that anymore. So break that space of codependency or holding space for people and be who you are so that now you can be seen in a different light. You can build relationships based on the values and morals that you have, that you want to act within. And when we're there, we're going to recognize when we're in an imbalanced and balanced state a whole heck of a lot more than when we're hiding. Because when we're hiding, we're not even sure who's who. Don't even know who we are. That's when we feel like we have secrets, we have lies, we have imposter syndrome, we have identity complexes, all of the things that make us feel less than. So never settle for someone else's opinions and assumptions of you to be truth. Your truth is your truth. That's it. Nobody else's. So reflect on it, define it, spend time on knowing what is what, so that you don't fall prey to someone else telling you that you're not good enough, that it's your personality that's the problem, that it's your actions that was the problem. Of course, it was part of the problem. But take it a step back and understand what your truth in that part of your life is. Thanks for joining. As always, I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear your questions. I love to hear your, what are you talking about? Can you talk about this a bit more on XYZ? I want to hear it all. So once again, thanks for listening, guys. And remember, the Unleashed Life coaching and mastermind program is open. This is a platform that is all about creating more freedom, purpose, and impact in your life. If you want to get in on the Facebook group, it's called the Aligned Life Roadmap. That's where I will be doing trainings every 4 to 6 weeks and multiple trainings every week on all things freedom, purpose, and impact. Also, if you're interested in this program or interested in working with me one-on-one, I'm going to put a link below that you can schedule a consult with me, 15 to 20 minute consult. Ask me whatever you need to ask me if you are ready to have more access to me, more access to this information, but bottom line, that you are ready to create more freedom, purpose, and impact in your life so you can step into your own truth. Love you all.
Thank you for listening and following the Aligned Life podcast with Dr. Tiffany. If you love this and can think of anyone who needs to hear about it, would you mind sharing with them? Find me online at drtiffanyjohnson.com, where you can find out more about my memberships, courses, mentoring, and any upcoming events. To learn more about chiropractic for you and your family, go to htchiro.com and follow our social pages. I can't wait to connect with you soon, and until then, be you, be aligned.